Welcome to FiST Chat, your source for news and discussions in film science and technology, hosted by Steve Kern and Ben Warner. Visit our website at fistchat.com. Hello everyone and welcome to FiST Chat, the podcast that features discussions on the topics of film science and technology. My name's Ben Warner and I'm joined once again by my good friend and colleague Steve Kern for our second episode today. How are we doing today, Steve?
I'm good, thanks Ben. I'm good, thanks FiST Chat fans. It's great to be here as always.
Absolutely, and today we're going to be talking about Facebook likes and this really interesting video that you sent through to me earlier in the week, Steve, that was just fantastic. And it's from Derek Muller exploring, Facebook click farms and whether there's, I guess, any difference between illegal clicks from a click farm and what you buy off of Facebook, which I'm sure Facebook, they won't be too happy with this video, considering it kind of blows a hole in their advertising platform a little bit.
Well, it does, doesn't it? It really blows a hole in their business plan too.
Just as the short of it, we'll probably post a link to this video because it's probably interesting for everyone to have a look at. Especially, we found it interesting because obviously it affects us in the sense that we've got a Facebook page. We want to get as much interaction out of it as possible. But as Muller explains, it's you buy links out of or likes from two different places, either illegally through click farms, and we've actually spoken about that on FiST Chat before too, or you buy it through Facebook in the legal way. But it turns out the interactions you get from both, and this is probably more disturbing if you're getting them from Facebook, the interactions aren't there because you'll get the likes, but they won't be interacting with your page because they're coming from areas that probably aren't going to be interacting with your page at all.
Well, they're people that are never going to come back to your page.
Exactly. So you'll have an impressive number on your site when people look at it, but actually the vast majority of them aren't actually interacting, which kind of suggests that if you're paying for it, that it's a waste of money, and that you're not getting. And the disturbing thing too was the Facebook algorithm apparently works against you if you have so many of these likes and profiles that aren't interacting with your page. It puts against you the visibility of it, because I didn't quite get the technicality of it, but essentially when you post something, Facebook will put it out to a certain amount of your users, and apparently the more uninteracting users, if I can put it that way, that are attached to your site, the less it's actually going to be sent out because your likes are considered to be less valuable.
That's right, and that's, I think, the point that Derek makes in the video, which is that you've got that issue in that they actually stop the spread of your message through your network, but you can't actually get rid of those fake likes. So they actually sit there and they work against you. So it's a very interesting situation for Facebook's business model.
Yeah.
And on the one hand, obviously it would work very well in encouraging people to boost post or advertise, but at the same time, I think it also, makes it, counterproductive to do so. So I don't know where that leaves them.
Well, a good example that he was saying was that was it that cat page that he set up where initially it only had 250 people that liked it. And then he got it up to 5,000. Numbers may be a bit different, but it's roughly in that ballpark. And the interaction when he had only 250 people was actually greater than what it was when he had 5,000. So that kind of puts you in the ballpark of what we're talking about here. And I would have thought that if Facebook really wants this, people to be spending money on advertising, they really have to improve this. Whether they'd have to know that this is what's going on. You would have thought, because they've got all their stats that they run for all this sort of thing. So unless they're working on a different way to kind of make it all work, it could, because from historically, Facebook tends to be a bit clunky in its updating of its platform. Each time it kind of moves along, either it upsets its users or it takes them a while to actually fix something. So whether this is just another thing, to be generous. If that's the case.
And also let's say say that this isn't a Facebook problem alone. This is a problem of a publicly listed social media company, because Twitter's in the same boat.
Yeah.
You know, you can buy a certain number of followers on Twitter, which is no different to the way you're buying them on Facebook.
Yeah.
And, you know, they have to do that now because they have to boost numbers, because, you know, anyone who advertises wants to, you know, advertise to a certain number of people. It's interesting, though, because it really gives way to a two-speed Facebook.
Yeah.
You know, so for the people who still use it as a genuine social network, you know, Facebook fulfills that part of it fine, because those people don't buy extra links. They're not trying to advertise or anything like that. So for those people, this is largely irrelevant.
Yeah.
But, you know, if you have a page and you're trying to promote a page, or if like FiST Chat, you know, you're trying to get a community going and you want to have followers, then, you know, it actually is a real issue, because, you know, you can have, even if you had 50%, you know, I think Derek in a lot of his examples, you know, had almost 80 or 90%, you know, were farmed clicks. But, you know, you can have a core, you could have several thousand switched on, interested, interacting followers out there. But as soon as you get a pool of click farm likes, effectively they are not going to get the messages that they want. So you're right. I think Facebook will, and they always are tweaking their edge rank, which is the algorithm they use.
Yeah.
They're always tweaking. I'm sure that they'll modify that over time, because they can't afford not to.
Well, that's right. I mean, you know, they're a business now. I mean, not that they were before. They were wanting to make money before, but now that they're publicly listed, there's a responsibility for them to sort of make sure that their business is valuable to people, because that will ensure. I mean, that's basic business 101. Otherwise, why are people, you know, purchasing from you or using your service if it's not going to provide, you know, value to the customer? And if there's no value to the customer, profits drop, and revenue drops, and then they'll be in trouble. So
I agree. Look, and I think that goes right across everything, you know, from Google AdWords to Facebook to Twitter or any other platform. Any free platform that then relies on advertising requires an audience.
Yeah.
And if that audience is found not to be real, then there goes your advertising revenue. If you've got real people and the advertising can't get to the real people, that's an issue as well. So I think that these are things that, you know, Facebook will have to address. The difference is, and I think this is where Facebook is going anyway in terms of content delivery, free-to-air television has been doing it fine for 50 years.
Yeah.
You know, they've been delivering content for free. You get your ad breaks. We know that everyone watches free-to-air television, even though, well, most people do, even though there are people telling you out there, no, that doesn't happen. They get big audiences, people watch it. You know, people are on Facebook, but unlike free-to-air television, you know, we're not even talking about switching off the ads here. We're never even seeing the ad break get to them. Yeah. And I think that's the real issue.
But is it also a question of the way the platform works, in the sense that, you know, you might be happy to sit on the couch watching free-to-air TV, and you'll sit through the ads to get to, you know, the continuation of your show. But when you're sitting in front of your device interacting on Facebook, there's an easy temptation to go around the ads if they're not put front and center in front of you. Like, for example, would they introduce a similar thing to what YouTube does with videos and photos? If you want to say we run a series of, say we produce our own FiST Chat drama, for example, that gets broadcast through the Facebook channel, would they be able to set up a system where there would be an ad that would run at the front of it, and or in between it, or whatever, so that people will get that advertising and not be able to switch off it?
Well, I guess that's the question. Of course, the answer is yes. How and when they manage to do it is the question. I mean, I think probably what's been underestimated is how tough it was to actually get video into Facebook's timeline. It's not a typical VCMS which you have with YouTube. Yeah. You know, this is a scrolling timeline. You have to place the video. The video has to sit within that timeline. It's not as straightforward as, you know, as it would seem. So you know, they've got around that now. I mean, have you had a look at the app Paper?
No, I haven't had a chance to yet, no.
Okay, I've seen it. I haven't downloaded it, but a friend went on to the American store and tried it out, and I like it. Nice interface.
Yeah, I've heard good things about it, and also that this is like the first example of where Facebook may become a series of mobile apps. You know, the idea that we're only going to be accessing Facebook through a timeline-based app. That it will still have that option, but then there's other things like Paper, and maybe they'll come out with some other things where you can access Facebook content differently.
That's right. And I mean, ultimately, I think if you have a look at Paper, if anyone out there has had a look at it, you'll see, you could effectively have a video, platform hanging off it, because you've got your news and media platforms hanging off it, and you can arrange effectively your interests, your content interests in your Facebook profile. So it's very interesting what they're doing, and obviously, like Google, Facebook are probably and Apple and all those big companies are probably 2 or 3 years ahead in their design room of what we're seeing.
Yeah.
So I'm sure they've got most of this covered, and I'm sure like most of these companies, they never admit they've got a problem.
Yeah.
And they work away in the back and then they fix it. I mean, Facebook's just too big to allow, even an issue like this. And they can fix it pretty easily, I would imagine, just by tweaking the algorithm.
Yeah.
But, however, they'd have to explain why their audience or international audience dropped by several hundred million.
Exactly. I was just thinking too, maybe the nature of the way Facebook was set up in the first place is sort of maybe conflicting with this notion of running ads in its platform, that they're going to have to, if they're going to keep that, it might have to run separately to, say, the way they run advertising, perhaps in another way on another, if they have a side platform that they run, and that might be an issue for them. That, for example, the website is still sort of like how it was originally, in the sense that, you log in and to check out what your friends are doing and whatnot, even though you're seeing sponsored posts and all sorts of other things at the moment. But it's still sort of based in that sort of world, and at best they've kind of created a hybrid model, and perhaps what they need to do is start thinking about really radically either changing things or adding brand new elements that can sort of make this transition easier for them.
Well, I think you hit a really good point there, Ben, which is, Facebook was never designed to be this. I mean, they've done a lot of work to get Facebook where it is today, but, probably if you had Facebook's business model today and you designed Facebook, I'm not so sure Facebook would look like it looks today.
Yeah, exactly. Well, that's right, because it wasn't built for the purposes of making money in the first instance. It was designed to get sort of people connected together online, which, maybe they haven't 100% solved how they 100% get the most value out of, monetarily, how to take advantage of that, if that makes sense.
Well, advertising's the easiest way, but as I say, when you see the app Paper, you'll realise that they've already created new ways to get that advertising revenue in. And, I think somewhere along the way as well, I actually see trusted news mastheads delivering content through Facebook. Potentially a Hollywood studio could deliver content through Facebook.
Yeah.
And that would suddenly mean that Facebook had a real relevance beyond just purely social. Networking. So it's very interesting, very exciting time, but it's a very revealing video. So it's very good.
We'll put it up the week we put this episode up, because you really need to check it out, especially if you're actually spending money on on getting Facebook likes. It might blow your mind in that regard. All right, we might finish up there. So thanks again, Steve, for the chat.
Anytime, Ben. Anytime, FiST Chat fans, and all you Facebook fans out there. How about you post and let us know if you're a click farm or if you've farmed any likes.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, just to wrap up, don't forget our website, FiSTChat.com. You can get all of our links there. We've got our ebook, The FiST Report, at FiSTReport.com. Both the 2012 and 2013 versions are there now. We've got weekly blogs, photography on Instagram and Flickr. And if you think anyone's interested in our weekly discussions on film science and technology, then feel free to send them to our website. We'd much appreciate that. So that's it for this episode. So we'll catch you next time.